Nation of Fitin10. It is day 6 of the challenge, and I want to remind you guys that when you eat your breakfast, the first meal of the day, make sure out of any meal, get a protein strong food in that meal, because you haven't had any protein for an extended period of time. Probably at least 8 hours, but I would bet to argue 10 or 12 hours. So protein is one of the macronutrients your body can't store. You can store carbohydrates in the muscle in your liver. You can store fat. Of course, we know this. But you can't store protein. So make sure you get your protein in the morning. There are people who are doing well with their numbers, but they're getting protein later in the day and not in the morning. And morning is when you really, really need it. And I guarantee you, it's gonna help you to be more clear throughout the day. Less sluggish too. All right. Question from feedback: how to max out macros. So if you remember in the tutorial, I had a spreadsheet, which just reminds me now, I haven't sent out that spreadsheet, so I need to do that. So mental note, send out the spreadsheet. In that spreadsheet, I had an example. I had macronutrients at the top, like total macronutrients for the day. Then I had 4 meals. And basically what I did is I took the macronutrients, like the protein, the carbohydrates, and the fats. I divided the number by 4. So, whatever, let's just say for protein, it was 100 grams. So I divided that by 4. And so each of the 4 meals, I tried to get 25 grams of protein. So you got to plan for this. If you just kind of cross your fingers or you just go through the day, it won't happen, because you have no control over what you're doing. So you're gonna, you might by chance get it, but chances are you won't, right? Because you're just simply kind of guessing as you go through the day. So you really do have to plan out. I highly, highly recommend it. When you get really well in tune with food, and you will as you go through this challenge, you'll be able to go through your day and just know, so you don't have to do this, but I'm just very manic about my food. So I measure everything out, but I don't put it in my journal till the end of the day. But I know just through measurements, I know what has what in it. So I know, for example, that, 2 ounces of oatmeal has got 36 grams carbs or whatever. I just know that because it's just been years and years and years of doing it. So I know I can do the calculation in my head and just kind of run through the day. And I'm not talking to the carbohydrate gram, but within 10%. So this is one of the reasons I have you measure your food, is because you'll become so well acquainted with food and knowing what is in what. So we're trying to just set up not only some habits here, but also just some good old food database, reservoir in your brain, because you will get that to some degree, at least with the foods that you consume. Okay, so protein in the morning, make sure you do that. Maxing out on your macros, you got to plan your food. It's just that simple. You have to. Hunger in the program. Okay, so basically this has to do more than anything with relative change. So one thing that I don't look at, and one thing I don't ask you, is your previous food consumption, because you don't know, because you probably weren't weighing and measuring your food before. You have no idea. So, there will be inevitably people in this challenge that are probably going to go from, a much higher calorie consumption, down. There's going to be, a fair deficit probably from where they were beforehand, at least on average. So you are going to experience some hunger. And this just reminds me, just on a side note, when we look at people, or whether this is medications or genetics, and we talk about people who are more apt to gaining weight versus other people, or you take a medication and you gain more weight, there's nothing about genetics or about medications, to my knowledge, that does something that causes your body to gain more fat. No. What happens is it changes the hunger cues. You are hungrier, so you eat more. So there are people who genetically that have higher hunger cues. They just have higher levels of ghrelin and less levels of leptin. And so they feel hungrier, so they eat more. So, the reason I'm saying this is because, and I'm not saying it's easy, but it is in our control. So you just have to know that even though there is hunger, you will not die. I know that is not comfortable, but I will tell you 100%, especially for somebody who dieted for bodybuilding competitions and got quite lean, there are levels to hunger, believe me. There are so many, there are levels. So the first top few levels of hunger are really nothing. So, and in fact, I think it's probably good to be a little bit hungry, to be honest with you, at least from an internal health standpoint. So, I think that's all I'm going to say on that. Hunger is not a bad thing, okay? And when you go through some deficit, expect some hunger, okay? When your body is not getting as many calories as it's used to, when your fat cells are shrinking, because that's what's happening when you're losing fat, your fat cells are shrinking, your body is going to release less leptin and more ghrelin. Okay, so leptin is a hunger hormone. Sorry, leptin is a hormone that basically tells your body not to eat anymore. It makes you feel full. And ghrelin does the opposite. Ghrelin is a hormone that's released and causes you to feel the hunger sensation. 7 minutes. Okay. Let's see here. Any more questions? I feel like there's one other one I read. And well, maybe I already addressed it yesterday. Hold on here. All right, I'm just going to read this question. I need to figure out how much to eat. I was under my caloric intake yesterday and today. I also need to up my protein intake. It appears that I am carb heavy and low on fat and protein. I will add protein powder shake as a complement to my meals. Yeah, again, protein powder is a huge thing. I highly recommend it. Supplement one of your meals per day. I need to dial in my food consumption. I've not eaten well in the past, and now I'm aiming for 100% compliance and feel guilty. This is what I wanted to get to. Feel guilty eating too much. I need to work on that. Okay, so I'm taking this as you mean that you are getting actually a decent amount of calories and you feel guilty by eating all those calories. So no, you want to make sure you eat all those calories. Actually, which reminds me too, and I was going to read off some cravings. I guess maybe I'll do that in tomorrow's video. Ways to stay off cravings. But you want to make sure you get all your calories because remember, we're just digging a hole. So you can do 1 or 2 or 3 days of good deficit, like really big deficit. I shouldn't say good deficit, but I mean big deficit. And then you're really going to start to feel hungry because your deficit is so much. We really just want to chew a little bit every day. We don't want to make a sudden drastic change. Ideally not. Okay, so get all the calories in that I give you. Make sure you do that, especially if you have cravings. There are people in the challenge that have cravings, but they're not eating all their calories. So get all your calories in first, okay? So this is a really important point. Get in, especially if you're having cravings, get in all your food. Make sure you do that, and then see if you have cravings. Don't hold back on the foods. Say you have cravings, and then eat food that maybe is not the most wise choice. Okay? So... and listen, you can have things like honey and have fruit. I know these are all carbohydrates, of course, and you're limited on your carbohydrates, but it doesn't mean you can't have them. I'm a huge cereal fan. I love cereal. I don't eat cereal anymore. I haven't touched cereal in years, like box cereal. But what I do, and maybe my suggestions may not jive with you, but maybe just give it a shot. I do dry oatmeal, like I just pour oatmeal in a bowl. And sometimes I'll actually let it, like I'll put water in it as the liquid. You could put almond milk or whatever, real milk for that matter. I generally just use water. Put water in there, let it sit for a little bit, just so it gets a little bit, I don't cook it, but it gets a little bit moist. Kind of just sinks into the oatmeal. And this is quick oatmeal, by the way, quick cook oatmeal. And then I add some kind of fruit to it. It might be berries, it might be chopped apple, it might be sliced banana. And then depending on what the fruit that I add in, I'll add in, you know, chocolate whey protein powder, or maybe it'll be vanilla whey protein powder, or maybe chocolate beef protein powder. I like it really cold, so I might throw in a few ice cubes if it's not cold enough. And then maybe some yogurt, or maybe I'll just have it as that, just the fruit, the protein powder, the water, and the oatmeal, and I mix it up, and it's super good. It's sweet. It totally gives them my sweet cravings. You can even add in a little bit of honey. That is one great way to go, and a lot of nutrients there. So you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. Like, you're getting calories there for sure, but you're also getting a lot of nutrients. You're getting a lot of fiber. You're getting a lot of phytonutrients. You're getting a lot of minerals. So, you know, think about doing this rather than resorting to, you know, to some kind of like, you know, processed sweet, like a cookie or a cake or something like that, okay? Get the most bang for your buck. 11:30. Wow. Okay, I gotta end this video. Let's get to the message of the day. And the message of the day is following long-term consistency over short-term perfection. I lost my screen there. Long-term consistency over short-term perfection. All right? So all in all, you are consistent. You may not be perfect, but you are consistent over the long haul. Rather, if you really focus on trying to be perfect, maybe you can do it for the challenge. But ultimately, we really want to be, you know, like I said, within 10%, at least for now, and try to be consistent. Build those big block habits. Big block habits. I've never said that before, but I like that. Build those big block habits, right? Protein every meal, nutrient-dense food, real whole food. Okay, lots of variety. Okay, lots of good nutrients. You're going to get this if you eat real whole food. Lots of fruits, vegetables. When it comes to your starches, things like yams, potatoes, oatmeal, brown rice. Okay, maybe a whole wheat pasta or a high protein pasta perhaps. When it comes to fats, you know, you can get some saturated fats. Don't worry about this. You can have eggs. You can have, you know, cheese, avocado, different kinds of oil, macadamia nut oil, olive oil. Stay away from seed oils. Fish oil is really good as well. Okay, get those good foods. Be consistent. Don't worry about being perfect. Just be consistent. Do it. You know, do your best, and keep going. Keep going. All right. Positive energy, positive vibes. Believe in yourself. For the love of God, give some gratitude. Really long video. I'm sorry. Shorter tomorrow, I promised.